Joining us now is New York Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Standing by for us. I'm sorry about the delay getting to you, Congresswoman. We had this other thing happen. But thank you very much for being with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Our take from our studio view of the president's speech tonight was that it was unusually interactive. Lawrence O'Donnell used the word combative, described it as the most combative State of the Union speech that he'd ever seen. That was our impression from here. What was your impression in the room, and what did you make of the president's remarks?
Absolutely. I may not have served as many terms or have as much experience as other members, but this is my, fourth or fifth now, and I have never seen a State of the Union that was so disrupted by members of either party. Even under President Donald Trump, we saw nowhere near the level of jeering, interruption, etc., that we saw by some of, I want to say the extreme elements of the Republican Party, but they are now being embraced and uplifted as the center of the Republican Party. It's really shocking. Even the things that the overall Republican Party refused to stand for, paying public school teachers, public health policy, basic education policy, raising the wage for some of our lowest paid workers in the United States. This should be really basic stuff, sky is blue kind of stuff. And the Republican Party, I think, really showed the country who they are tonight, that they have been taken over, and that this isn't some right wing. This is the ethos of the modern Republican Party.
We did see the president focus on economic issues and sort of bread and butter issues and working families, middle-class families, practical issues throughout almost the duration of his speech. He talked a little bit about Ukraine. He talked a little bit about the Roe versus Wade decision for a little bit. He spent considerable time on police violence and trying to get some sort of police reform. But we really saw him talk about nuts and bolts stuff, kitchen table stuff, wages, dignity of work, jobs, healthcare costs, access to healthcare. I have to imagine that in your district, given its profound diversity, both ethnic and economic diversity, that has to be I'm guessing that has to be welcome, just in terms of that being such a large focus of the president's remarks.
Yes, absolutely. I do think that the forcefulness of some of the language that he used, calling out Big Pharma by name, really naming these caps that we have passed on the price of insulin, on out-of-pocket costs, it is powerful. And this is some of the most animating issues that touch the material reality of everyday Americans. I think he did a good job of that, while also not letting off corporate greed. As he called out the profit margins of big oil. I think that it was definitely impactful, and it was surprising, I think, even to some of us, compared to some of his past State of the Unions.
Let me ask you about something I just referenced a moment ago, but let me just ask you in detail about what you thought about the president's lengthy and I thought quite empathetic remarks about police violence. He talked about how members of law enforcement are risking their lives when they put on the shield, and that they deserve to come home just like the communities they protect. But community members deserve to come home too, and there have been too many people killed, and it's not getting better fast enough. And he spent a lot of time engaging with Tyre Nichols' parents, who were there in the gallery watching, and we know so many other family members of people who've been killed by police were there tonight in the room to pay witness. What do you make of the president's remarks and about what he's substantively proposing?
I was surprised by the president's remarks and his focus on reform, focus on justice, and really his focus on centering the families that have been so deeply impacted by police violence and police brutality, and really centering this discussion around reform. If you contrast that with his speech just a year ago, where this two-dimensional frame of fund or defund, and it was, we're going to fund the police, this is a very different conversation, and one that advocates have been asking for a long time. See what is happening on the ground. See see and acknowledge the reality that our communities are experiencing, and that this is a problem that has gone unaddressed for far too long. And so for him to stand up there, to name, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which in and of itself, advocates already believe that it doesn't really go far enough to address the core underlying issues. But still, for him to name this legislation, it's a long way from just a year ago, where it was really just about how much more money can we pile into these local departments in order to fix this issue. I also think it's an acknowledgement of the fact that this isn't really connected to funding much at all in terms of how we actually lower these instances of horrific violence in communities. And so I thought it was encouraging. I know myself and some other members were kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. We felt like there was kind of this wind up and that there was going to be a but. And I think we were very relieved and surprised that there was no but, that there was just an acknowledgement that this is actually a problem. And we have not really heard a president do that in such a straightforward way in a long time, if ever, in modern politics.
It's a really astute point, particularly talking about the distance that President Biden himself has come on this issue, perhaps in his own personal understanding, but also in the way he's willing to talk about it. Thank you for that. And thank you for being here, New York Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's always a real pleasure to have you with us whenever you can be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.